What's up, Endurifiers? This is Mario, and I'm back with another episode of Endurify. And now, if you are getting ready to do maybe your first half Ironman, or your first Ironman, or even just your first triathlon, or even if you're somebody who is uncomfortable with the idea of doing open water swimming, then I've got a very helpful and kind of interesting tip for you today. So just the backstory here, I interviewed a woman named Addi yesterday who just completed her first half Ironman at Ironman Galveston about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And through this process of interviewing her, I learned a little bit about kind of her experience in training for it. It sounded like she used a coach and she had a mentor that helped her with her biking. She also has a background in running, and so that wasn't really a big problem for her, but had a really good interview with her, and had lots of really useful tips. But one of those takeaways stood out to me, and I wanted to share that with you. And so in the interview, I asked her for any swim advice, bike advice, and run advice for a first timer. And she said that one of the things that she did with the swim, she was super nervous about doing open water swimming. And most specifically, she was nervous about swimming and having other people around her. So a lot of times in a triathlon, you all get in at once, or you go in at a staggered start or kind of a rolling start. But it can be really uncomfortable to have people swimming to the left of you, people swimming to the right of you, people swimming above you, people swimming below you, even in open water swims when it's pretty packed. And sometimes people will kick you. You'll get kicked in your hands. Sometimes you get elbowed. I haven't had anything like super intense happen to me, and that's because I kind of try and stay away a little bit from people. But it can be a really uncomfortable feeling of having all of these swimmers around you, and it's not something that's super natural, especially when you're already nervous for open water swimming. So what Addi did is, in the pool a couple of times before the race, she invited her 13-year-old son, and she would get in a lane, and she told her son to just hit her as she was swimming and just pull her arms and, hit her head and, like move her legs. And she said that she did that a couple of times in the pool, and she was laughing when she told me this because she was sure that the lifeguard was just super confused about what was going on between this mother and her son, who is just, kind of attacking her. But she said that after going through that process, when it came to time to do the open water swim, she wasn't worried about that at all because she had practiced it. And so I think it's definitely a win-win scenario, because for her 13-year-old son, when she asked him, hey, like, would you want to come to the pool and just kind of like, splash me and hit me and tap and, poke and prod? And he was like, really? I can do that? And so he was excited. She obviously learned how to swim kind of in open water and get comfortable, not in open water, but how to simulate an open water swim where you may have some jostling around you. And then, that's the first I've ever heard of it, but I think that is one really good strategy that I had never heard of before that I wanted to share with you all today. So, if you're somebody who is going to be doing kind of a triathlon, going to be doing open water swim, you're uncomfortable with the jostling in the pool or in the open water, then this is something that you can recommend. Have your son, your daughter, or a friend just come and swim by you, poke you, prod you, and get comfortable with that. And so that's just kind of the first benefit. And the second benefit, I think, is this, which is including your family in your training. So, as endurance athletes, we take on these big challenges and we spend a lot of time training, a lot of time swimming, biking, running, and a lot of times for a lot of people, you do that alone. And so, if you're really lucky, your family is supportive of your training and supportive of your goals, but it's a really good feeling to include your family in your training if you can. So, if you go for a long run, coming back home and then finishing the last half mile with your spouse or with, your kids, same thing with a long bike ride. If you go for a long bike ride, coming back and finishing that, some people do their warm-up bike or their warm-up run with their kids just so that they can kind of include them. And I think that that's just a big motivational boost when you're able to work on something that you're passionate about and you can do that with people that you love. So that is kind of what I have for you today. Just that first tip on something that I'd never heard of that might be helpful for a lot of people with just getting comfortable with the open water jostling and swimming. So that is what I have for you today, and I hope that served you.